Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering, and we have James on Dark Depths versus Peter on Oops No Lands. Do not blink in this one. We are running it at double speed, and I mean, this could be one of the fastest ever, depending on how well these hands do for their owners. James, actually the slower deck at the table, not usually the case. He's got a turn 1 Dark Depths Lotus Petal. Is he going to have double Lotus Petal into Vampire Hexmage? No. So Peter's going to have Dark Ritual into Balustrade Spy. And then the Symbiosis Timber something Symbiosis? Turn Timber? Did I remember it? Yes, Turn Timber Symbiosis. So, for those unfamiliar, that is going to be game. Peter is going to mill his entire deck, hitting all of his Narcomoebas, which is going to allow him to Cabal Therapy James and make sure that there is nothing left to be done. Now, if James has a crop rotation into Bojuka Bog, this will be an absolute blowout, as Peter needs his graveyard, game 1 especially. So the Narcomoebas are being allowed to enter. Elvish Spirit Guide, crop rotation. Oh no! He has it. So like I said, don't blink. James plays the control role there as Peter loses game 1 to a Bojuka Bog. He has the turn 1 kill, and James snatches it away. Elvish Spirit Guide enabling that. He had the Lotus Petal anyways, so that was doable either way, and would have gotten past Chancellor of the Annex. Now, if Peter had the Force of Negation, he actually would have been able to trump that, and that is a card that Oops No Lands tends to run, is a playset of Force of Negations. Didn't have it there, and James takes down game 1. Peter is going to be on the play, and expect him to mulligan until he has a hand that wins on the first turn. We'll see if James is able to mulligan until he has some type of graveyard interaction. But that is what to expect here for games 2 and possibly 3. Let's see what Peter keeps. James' deck will get a lot more dangerous when he gets a land drop. Right now, the shields are mostly down. The only cards that would be likely for James would be possibly Mind Break Trap, not very likely, Surgical Extraction, or Fairy Macabre, which would be more likely. That is one of the reasons why these decks do sometimes pivot into a Belcher build. We've got Agadeem's Awakening, and a pair of Lotus Petals. Wow, Peter keeping a hand that does not win on the first turn. I am guessing he has another land drop and is going to look to win on turn 2. If he's hoping to use the top of his deck to help him out, that is not a solid plan with this Oops deck. Once Upon a Time finds Elvish Spirit Guide for James. And we've got a Thoughtseize showing a pair of Pact of Negations. The Cabal Ritual is gonna go here. And this is a surprising keep to me. It may work out for him. I would not have personally kept this hand based off of my testing with the deck. I may be running it a little bit too much like a glass cannon. And he has to pass. Pair of Force of Negations in hand. Eight cards live in the deck that are going to be helpful. And Vampire Hexmage comes down, sets a clock. Peter's going to need to draw either Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy in the next 10 turns. Chrome Mox comes down, imprints one of those Force of Negations, still has one. Oh, and he's done it. What a savage. What an absolute savage. He's drawn the mana he needs and the enabler, and he's got the force of negation, or the pact of negation, to stop whatever it is James might have in mind. So it does, in fact, work out for him. The top of the deck bailing him out, giving him Balustrade Spy. We got crop rotation, sacrificing a land ESG, enabling that, but the Pact of Negation shuts down the crop rotation. Does James have another ESG plus crop rotation? And Peter seems like he's considering whether or not to Cabal Therapy. And we see Vampire Hexmage and Pithing Needle. So now Dread Return will bring back Thassa's Oracle. And that is a wrap, as Peter picks up game number 2. Despite not having a first turn kill in his hand. We'll see how he mulligans in game 3. Coming right up. All right, we'll see how game 3 goes for James on the play. Gives him a lot more ways of interacting. Peter mulliganing a couple of times. Really not much of a drawback with this deck. It greatly decreases your likelihood of rebuilding after a discard spell, but I mean, you're really soft to discard anyways. Peter draws for turn. We got Lotus Petal. Oh, and passing the turn. Yeah, I don't know that I can condone it. There's going to be probably 20% of the time that you mull to oblivion with this deck. Somewhere in that range. I'd imagine it's at least 15. It's probably less than 25%. In my testing so far, I've goldfished a few hundred hands with a spreadsheet and kept track. And it seems like on average, a set of 10 games, you will have 1 to 2 mulligan to oblivion if you are just keeping first turn wins. It's a sample size of probably less than 200 games. But I did build the deck and have done like multiple sets of 10. There were, I think the worst outlier I had was a set of 4 games within a mull to 10. I believe that happened once. And maybe once at 3. But for the most part, it was 1 to 2 every 10 games where your deck just completely craps out on you, and the rest of it is just spitting fire with those first turn wins about half the time with backup, either a Chancellor of the Annex or a Pact of Negation. Now, as the game goes on, Chancellor becomes less and less of actual backup. And my most recent build, I'm actually trying out Chancellor of the Tangle as a way to have even more acceleration in the deck. Chancellor plays much better with Chrome Mox than some of your other accelerants, as you can actually imprint it on there, turning Chrome Mox into a 1-for-1, 1 card to get 1 mana. Ooh, Collector Oof. That is quite possibly game. We'll see if Peter can find a way around this. This is very bad. It's gonna take a lot. I don't think the deck is really capable of finding a way out of this. We will likely just see A little menagerie beatdown, Collector Oof, and Vampire Hexmage can turn sideways over the course of the next few turns. Going to discard. Vampire Hexmage. He's actually going to just make a 20/20. That'll be fine. And that will do it. No Deflecting Palm for Peter as Dark Depths gets that critical first game thanks to Bojuka Bog and takes down the match. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.